might not know, and you know very well, that I've been part of Swazi administration. I've been part of party politics, helped the party, uh, bringing in not only just South Asian communities, but other minority communities also, from Leaf Simon to Carrier Solages. Carrier Solages was brought in initially. I was the person instrumental in him becoming member of the Human Rights Commission. And I have raised thousands of dollars, hundreds and thousands of dollars for the party also. You know that. And yes, you gave me an opportunity to run. And you also later on appointed me as vice chairman of the Democratic Party. Is that correct? I was appointed as the vice chairman of the Democratic Party? Yes? Okay, thank you, because your new vice chairman, one of the new vice chairmen goes around says that he's the first South Asian, so that is giving you bad name, by the way. Anyway, I'm telling you, because that's what he's doing. And I've been close. Let me start with the vice chairmanship. The 1 year that I was vice chairman, there was only one meeting. You mentioned the 10 people committee, so let me tell you how that worked in 1 year that I was there. There was one meeting that I was invited to, and I was told there was no other meeting, and when I went to that meeting, we were just told X, Y, and Z, we are done, whoops, agenda is finished. No discussion about the party politics, party policies, selection of candidates, community issues, concerns of the communities, involvement and including all different communities into the party, or how to bring those communities and people up. There was no discussion, never have been. As far as the candidacy is concerned, in 2005, and I'm just using it as an example because it's not a forum to discuss personal matters, so I'm not going to go into details, but I want you to understand how the party mindset was and it still is. In 2005, Democratic Party people reached out to me to run for legislature from the District 3 that you mentioned. I raised $70,000 for my own campaign, which was more than any other candidate ever. Even sitting legislative candidate never raised $70,000, $80,000 on their own, and you know it. And without going into details, I lost by a couple of $100, couple of hundred votes, few hundred votes, and I never, sorry, and never, without even party support, but that's a different subject. But I thought that after that happened, things will change. Initially, when I was candidate, party people openly said that, and I'm quoting one of the most powerful person in the party leadership. He said, Ali, you're not going to win because you are Ali Mirza, you're not L Mutzman. If your name was L Mutzman, you would win. And we are sure that from that community, only a white Italian woman can win. This is what I was told. And I end up being the candidate who came closest ever in the history to defeat John Ciardi. Now, instead of seeing any change in that mindset, your town of Hampstead leader John Lewis, who was at that time, went around and said that Ali Mirza could not win because only a white Italian woman can win that seat, and over our dead body, Ali Mirza will be candidate again. But a lot of water under the bridge, and you finally found a white Italian woman to run in that district in 2009, Nina Bastardi. She was a Republican youth committee chairperson. They took her from there because they could not find a white Italian woman to run in the district. They brought her from the Republican Party, gave her the ticket for that legislative seat. Not only she lost in basic democratic communities in Almont, but also sank the ship, which was going to sink anyway in 2009, and helped Swazi and everybody else has lost also. And only after this experience, it was that Carrier Solage, who wanted to run for the last few years, was brought up. So my point is, without going into details, is I don't see any participation of any committee people in making the decision. I was one of the vice chairmen. I was invited into one meeting, and the way I was dismissed from being vice chairman, because I always became the voice of the people who are not being paid attention to, that when the convention in 2011 took place, I was not even sent invitation that the convention is going to take place. I didn't go, nobody, so I was being ignored. And then somebody else was appointed. I at least gave you a courtesy when I decided to support Adam Haber instead of Tom Swazi, to give you a call and let you know, and Tom Swazi a call and let you know. So what I'm trying to, and I have seen this, that if you are, whether you are part of that 10 committee people or no matter what, you have to follow a line, and maybe it is not coming from you. Maybe it is coming from your town leader, Bill Biamante, who is also the commissioner of the Board of Elections. Or it is coming from Mike Santoramo, who was your, for the lack of executive director. But people around you, they are the one, because you are not reachable all the time. We don't talk to you all the time. A lot of time we get call from Mike Santoramo or Bill Biamante and people who are around you. And the message we get is, just do this. This is what chairman wants. Just do this. This is what chairman wants. And oh, what are you saying? Are you going against? Are you going to go against the chairman? These are the words of Mike Santorama 10 times to me, myself. So I'm just putting you as an example, and it's not a personal discussion about me. It is not about me. It is about how the Democratic Party is working. It's about the structure, and especially about the people of color and from minority communities.
So, if I can, we have a couple of hands up, and we'll come to that hand in a second. But maybe we can bring this in, because I think Sister Brazeley appropriately, gives us some context. I was the first vice president of the Democratic Party at one time. I could care less anymore. I'm a Democrat, not going to change. But if you're a Republican, if you are conservative, and you're going to serve the community well, this body has made a determination that we may have a preference for Democrats, but if the Democrat ain't going, you got to go.
That's right.
The reality of the context, and the historical stuff is important, because we don't continue to make the same mistakes over and over again. The trust has been given. And the fact that that trust has been given, and there has been no real, and I'm talking about real now, reciprocation is a concern. That's what brought this body together. Because there was no change from Democrat to Republican in the communities. The numbers of young black men who are getting killed in the corridor has gone up. It has not gone down. The effect of police, and we see this thing, they're rotten to the core, and the people that they're jumping out on is not kids in Garden City or East Meadow. They're jumping out on our young folks. And the reality of what has been said, not a single thing. First of all, I commend you for standing up for this young man, Randy. I commend you for that. But on all the other issues, even with Kavan, issues that are affecting the death of kids up here on the Heights, nobody's saying anything. And the reciprocation of that trust is coming backwards. It's not coming like it's being offered. There's a concern there, and I don't think that you really need to defend anything. I think this is a real time to really evaluate, because this group, and I'll let other people speak, but I'm just, this group spent a lot of time evaluating what are we about. We evaluated that, and we did a lot of soul searching. There's some folks in here that got finger pointing at each other that we were able to cut that down. But we got to the point where we respect each other in this room, and we respect opinions and allow people to voice them. But the reality is that there's a concern that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party has failed to appropriately consider that they have taken for granted the fact that the African American community and the Hispanic community and the communities of color can be the people that will make change electorally around.
Well, we showed that we can change elections, and how come that's not enough of a motivator?
That actually was going to be my question. You said that your job as the county chairman is limited to the vetting of potential candidates to run for office.
Well,
and one element of it. I want to focus on that element specifically, and that you have a direct responsibility for vetting and determining these individuals that run for public office, specifically in the minority community. These are people that will represent the needs of myself, my peers, and my elders. So don't you think that at some point this conversation should have happened with us? The times have changed greatly. I'm burying my friends. My classmates are in prison. there's a pipeline from all of the minority community educational systems to the prison, and the reason that there's such a sense of frustration and distrust in this room is because when you pick people to represent us, and they fail us, they ignore us, and we don't get we don't get the mindset. What is the process that determines who's best for us? Like, I think that's really what the issue is. We need people that understand. We need people that know what it is. And the people that you guys are selecting in the boardrooms don't get it, obviously, because it's not getting better. It's systematically getting worse. And so when you're vetting these people and you're selecting individuals to run for public office, specifically in the minority community, did you ever think that maybe you could have come to us and gotten some input? There's been people that have run grassroots campaigns, and once they win, then they get the support of the party. Maybe.
Like who are we referring to, for instance?
Miss Goolsbee. Miss Goolsbee, Carrie Solanges.
Carrie Solanges, I don't understand.
This is just my thinking. I don't think that the support that Adam Haber. Okay, we'll use Adam Haber as when you were vetting for county executive, you had a well qualified, capable gentleman. Mr. Swazi was in the private sector. Why was he selected over this public official? Mr. Haber was a public official at the current time Mr. Swazi, who served. He served. Why not Mr. Haber? He was already serving the public. What made Mr. Swazi more qualified than Mr. Haber?
Let me just stop it first on Carrie Solanges, because you put his name in there. Now, I will tell you that I think that Dorothy Goolsbee ran on her own when the councilmatic districts were first made, and she did run on her own, and I remember that. But I will tell you that Carrie Solanges was a candidate that was brought to my attention. We first ran him, I think, for clerk, countywide, was unsuccessful, and then we ran him for the legislative seat. We gave him a tremendous amount of support. He was brought forward through the Democratic Party, and he's done, I think, an excellent job.
He also was told not now in the process.
Told not now.
Yes.
When he ran, when he first wanted to go for the Elmont seat, he was told not now.
Okay, well, let's,
Yes.
And switch to the clerk,
Yes.
where they knew he'd have a much harder time
Yes.
winning than in his district.
May I try to clear some of this up?